What do you think is the best sport in the country? What do you think is the best sport in the world? I think it's college football. That's why I do a college football show. If you agree with me, thumbs up. Yes, I see a lot of thumbs. If you agree with me, say it with me. College football, college football, college and football put together. You never just say football. Do you notice that? I'm going somewhere with this. It's going to be in about 20 minutes, but I'm going somewhere with this. We're jam-packed. We're high atop a sunny downtown Nashville, Tennessee. It is beautiful. It is Thursday, September 18th, the year of our Lord 2025. Lick that index finger, stick it in the air. Do you feel upsets coming on? It is Upset Alert Thursday. I'm going to put a rating on a lot of these. And Jesse, I think we got some 8s, we got some 7s. We have potential upsets on the horizon. We will talk about that. I've got a brand new commissioner's poll. You asked for it. I wanted it to be one time and one time only, and here we are every Thursday. It's a new staple of the show. Yes, not power ratings, ladies and gentlemen, not neutral field favorability, but my rankings. Since no one at the AP is going to watch the games, I will. And this, of course, will end if I don't secure the college football playoff commissioner spot with a spot for me on the playoff committee. It's one or the other. It's your choice. Take your pick. Pick your poison. And Cubelic may join us if, Jesse, right, if we can get the shot set up. We don't know. No one knows. We don't know. It's anyone's guess. I do know this. They're watching us in San Antonio, Texas, Seattle, Washington, Athens, Ohio, and Athens, Alabama in the live chat, and Gainesville, Florida. Also, Bradley, JC from Memphis is tuned in. JC hooked Bradley up with a new phone. He paid full price, but still, JC shouted us out, and so we want to shout him out. We appreciate him for getting Bradley hooked up, one of the last remaining people who had never owned an iPhone, now a proud owner. So we can tell when Bradley's gotten our text messages. I am headed to Nebraska tomorrow with Taylor and Will and the Bussin' Bowl happening up there. We're going to do a live event tomorrow night at a spectacular venue, a theater there in Lincoln, so we'll be on hand for that. I'll be on the sideline at the game Saturday. Hey, did you hear, Jesse, I'm doing some stuff with CBS Saturday morning. See our old friends up there. And Matt Homestead have thunked that, going to possibly share a desk with Cannell. You never know what can happen when you show up in Nebraska. Here's what you do need to know. You need to be following on Instagram at Josh Pate CFB, because I'll have you a ton of behind-the-scenes stuff from up there. And also, Friday Night Lines will emanate from a nondescript hotel somewhere in Lincoln, Nebraska. And it's going to be a traditional Friday Night Lines. I think it's going to be a little bit later in the evening after the live event and I get back to the hotel room. So, like classic Friday Night Lines as the good Lord intended, after dark. And I will let you know tomorrow. Keep an eye on the story, Twitter feed. I'll let you know what time exactly. But in the meantime, for those interested in upsets, this could be your Saturday. Because this is being looked at as sort of the Saturday before the Saturday. Because next Saturday, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We've already started prep for next week. We've got a monstrous slate next week. And so everyone's looking ahead. And no one's realizing, hey, Georgia State beat Vandy last year, and they play them this week. Does anyone even have any idea who USC plays before they go play Illinois? Well, I do. And I'm looking at these games. So let's start in Clemson, South Carolina for the road team here. Syracuse getting 16.5 right now. They're playing a team in Clemson that has trailed everyone so far this year. Clemson's 1-2. Again, just a big number here for Clemson. Now, surely they're in desperation mode. I mean, Dabo cut a promo earlier this week that Hogan would have been proud of, Austin would have been proud of, Triple H in his prime would have been proud of. Let me ask you something. If I were to tell you one of these teams is third in passing yards per game, who would you have thought it was in the preseason? Probably the guy who is a multi-year starter at quarterback, returning behind a veteran offensive line, got a really good stable of receivers, right? It's got to be Kay Klubnik. No, it's Steve Angeli. He's kind of showed up at Syracuse, sort of vagabond style. I picture a stick with a knapsack sort of tilted over one shoulder. Hey, Fran, hey, can I play here? Yeah. Oh, third in the country in passing a few weeks into the season. No big deal. Some places make it look so easy. Clemson is not one of those. I am concerned that they are laying this many points this week. They have scored 10, 27, and 21 in the games that they've played so far. They need their springboard moment. It's not just going to be the same all year. Certainly, there's wild fluctuation in performance levels. It's college football. Maybe they get that this week, but I'm still putting a 7 on the upset alert concern scale. This is a big number, like 16.5. That's a big number to be looking at outright upset. It's Clemson, man. They got to prove it. They got to earn benefit of the doubt. They do not own that around here right now. Next up, I mentioned USC. Big game coming up. Are you talking about this Saturday? Oh, no, I'm not talking about that. Well, actually, I am talking about this Saturday. Everyone else is talking about next Saturday. Because next Saturday is when they go to Champaign and they play Illinois. As you know, on this show, we have circled that game as the hinge game for USC in the year of our Lord 2025. But before that, here comes Michigan State. USC is an 18.5-point favorite against the Spartans in the Coliseum. I have had a morbid attachment with Michigan State, as I documented Tuesday. Please don't ask me why. I have watched every snap of Michigan State so far this year. They're like my adopted program for the season. And here's what I think they can do. I think they can sustain drives. They can. Haven't necessarily done it. There's been some offensive inconsistency. But I'm crossing fingers here that eventually Michigan State, whom I labeled a little bit of a sleeper team in July, can sustain some drives. Now, if they do that in this game, it could get really interesting in a hurry. Because if you limit some possessions here, if you extend drives, if you're good on third down, you could make a game of it. And also, USC has been pretty fortuitous in the turnover battle so far this year. But that is a very randomized stat. So some extended drives for Michigan State. Aiden Childs just making some plays. Get lathered up on a Saturday night, immunity to all of that. And he just makes some plays, and he's trading shots with Jaden Maiava. And then, a turnover here or there goes Michigan State's way. It's a 4-quarter game. I'm putting a 5.5 on it because I do believe in USC. But we took Michigan State in the points as one of our best bets. So I do expect this to be a competitive game. What about Illinois, Indiana? Someone noted the other day that we left it out. We didn't leave it out. We saved it for Thursday. We don't eat the entire apple on Tuesday. We take several bites out of it, and then there's some left over for Thursday. Here we go. Illinois got a win at Duke already this year. Now, admittedly, it was a very misleading final. It looks like a blowout. I think it was, Jesse, what was the final? Was it 45-16, 45, somewhere in that range? And yet, I think Duke outgained them. It was just a bunch of turnovers, which credit to Illinois for causing that, 45-19. Credit to them for causing it. In the betting world, what you want to do is you want to take a mental note of that because, of course, it's what you would call a misleading final. And then down the road, you think maybe some lines would be inflated because that looks like a blowout, and then you can take advantage of it. Well, I'm not sure the market fell for it because Indiana's favored by 6.5 here. And so I looked at the model. The model disagrees. The model actually thinks this is Indiana -2. When I say the model, for those of you who are new around here, I mean our own in-house model here. And it is circling this game. This is the taste of what Friday Night Lines sounds like, by the way. A game I haven't talked about all week. Someone would ask about it in the live chat. I'd have a couple of monitors pulled up in front of me. There'd be some hotel blinds drawn behind me. It'd be really sketchy. Lighting wouldn't be nearly this good. But I would be looking at FanDuel, Indiana -6.5. Look at the model over here. My goodness, Indiana -2. We differ by 4 points, 4.5 points with Vegas across multiple key numbers there. That qualifies Illinois as a best bet. That's what Friday Night Lines sounds like. I've got concern for Indiana because I don't really know who they are. They could be just as good as they were last year. I don't know that. I do know that in the battle-tested category, relatively speaking, Illinois got a little bit more of that. I just think the competitive profile of Brett Bielema's Illinois team is such that if you're giving me nearly a touchdown with them in these kinds of games that I think they're going to keep close, I'm taking it because I think they could win the game. And this is not like a point spread thing. This is not a cover thing. But when the spread's under a touchdown, if I think you're likely to cover, I think you could win the game as well. So I'm going to put an 8 on that one. I don't think it'd be a huge upset, honestly. But Indiana is favored by nearly a touchdown. So give me Illinois at an 8 on the upset alert concern scale to pull it off. Next up, Tulane on the road at Ole Miss. Ole Miss laying 12.5. Ole Miss would be favored by more than that, probably against a couple of SEC teams, although this year in the SEC, I'm not sure. Talk about that more with Cubelic later, if he shows up. You need to get used to seeing John Summerall against SEC teams because he's going to be in this league in the not-too-distant future. Spoiler alert. In the meantime, Tulane, little old Tulane, has gotten wins over Northwestern and Duke, and they are kind of like the light version of Tennessee. That sounds disrespectful. It's fine. It's fine. If they feel disrespected, they can go beat Ole Miss. So how about that? I look at this, and I look at Jake Retzlaff, who just kind of fell in their lap because of a conduct code violation at Brigham Young, and he is taken off. Good player. Kind of like Tennessee. Got Joey Aguilar falls in their lap after spring. No one planned that. That's not a play Hypo runs. Let's just ditch our quarterback and get a new one after spring ball. Well, John Summerall didn't plan on this, but Summerall had his starter bought out from under him and went to Duke, and then he beat him last week. And then he's got, after spring ball, Brigham Young's quarterback's available. We'll just take him, and he'll start. And so far, and it's early in the season, he's already got 2 100-plus yard rushing games. Tulane's a top 25 rushing offense. Dare I pop the paper and inform you Ole Miss is 118, 118th in rush defense so far this year. Again, it's very early in the season. Some of these stat categories are a little warped. So absolutely take it to the bank. You also should know that Ole Miss has got LSU on deck. They know it, so why shouldn't you know it? Yeah, this is a 7 for me. Tulane could flat out win this game. This is a 7 for me. Now, what I'm not concerned about is which quarterback Ole Miss starts. It's Lane. I'm just not worried about it. It's Lane. I'm far more worried about some starters in the SEC than I am Ole Miss's backup. It's a sad, sad state of affairs at various outposts in the SEC. Next up, right here in Nashville, Tennessee, Georgia State's coming to town at Vandy. Now, Vandy's a big favorite by 27.5. This game happened last year. Georgia State won. That can't be. Josh Vandy had a great year last year. Yep, but it included a loss to Georgia State. Remember, it was the model's shining moment because they went down there to Atlanta, and I sat here and I rung the upset alert bell. I think we put a 10 on it, and everyone thought drugs. There were drug accusations. And then Vandy goes down there and loses, and this is the same Vandy that went on to beat Alabama not too long after that. This game was tough for him last year. You know who else was tough? Ted Hurst. We don't do much in the way of breaking down the wide receiver room of Georgia State on this show for what I think are obvious reasons, but Ted Hurst tore them up last year. 7 catches, 128 yards, 2 scores. He's still there. I know they've got both eyes on him this Saturday. That's the kind of guy late in the game, if you're looking for a backdoor cover, that could get you that. But also, if this just becomes a competitive game in the fourth quarter, that's the kind of guy who is once again gone off, and you're looking at him saying, why is he not on a better roster than that? Shame on you if you think that. Look, I think it's a natural letdown spot. They're coming off back-to-back road games, coming off back-to-back wins over Virginia Tech and South Carolina. There is no big opponent next week, all due respect to Utah State. So I'm going to put a 2 on this. Vandy's mature enough to handle business. I think it may be ugly. I don't exactly expect 45-3 at halftime or anything like that, but I do expect Vandy to handle business. So I'm going to put a 2 on that one. And the last one I wanted to get to is South Carolina at Missouri. We didn't talk about that one Tuesday night either because we were saving it for Thursday. One more bite out of the apple. Hey, just between us, what's happening here? Missouri was favored by 12 or 13. And just so you know out there, if you're looking at this line, Missouri minus 9.5, and you're thinking, oh, that's because Sellers is not playing. No, it was Missouri minus 12 or 13. And then rumors started to float around that Sellers will play. I expect him to play. That's baked into the number. So Missouri's still over a touchdown favorite with Lenora Sellers projected to start at quarterback for South Carolina. It's a pure desperation spot for South Carolina. You know what I can't shake? I can't shake that image of them going to Oklahoma last year in a kind of similar spot. Now, they were coming off a near loss on the road at Bama. Then they go back on the road to Oklahoma, and they blitzed them. Bunch of turnovers, and they won a game, and it felt like it changed the course of the season. And I say that because the desperation mode, the DGAF mode they kind of took on the road last year in that game, I think we could see here. But even if Lenore Sellers plays, you got to keep that team from looking at number 16, HOPENY Superman. Like, other folks got to shoulder the load. Someone's got to step up. Multiple someones have got to step up, because as much as you're looking at it saying, oh, hopefully we can get right here, like, hopefully we feel disrespected, hopefully we can go on the road and we can rally the troops. Dude, Missouri's still looking to make a statement. Missouri's best win is Kansas. Missouri may be sitting there ranked or power rated or whatever. Most people think they're totally anonymous. So you are just another opportunity for them to flex in conference play. I think this is a 6 because I respect the athletic profile of South Carolina's team, but I looked for a reason to pick the outright upset. I couldn't find it. 6. Best I can do is a 6. Quick Trip is fueling our journey this Saturday, which will actually be tomorrow. We're going to head up to Lincoln tomorrow. Jet fuel, Quick Trip jet fuel, which you don't need. You probably just need good old-fashioned car gasoline, car food, if you will. They've got that too. And they've got human food, and they got cold brew on tap. We just gave away a couple of tanks of free gas today to random viewers. There is no random viewer here, special viewers. Why? Because we felt like it. And they've given me the green light to give away a ton of free stuff, so I've been doing that. Quick Trip fueling the Fall Don't Lie tour. They can fuel your tour wherever you go. You don't have to be in Nebraska this week. You could just be driving around the neighborhood for all I care. Just make sure you visit our friends at Quick Trip along the way. We appreciate them. We love them. They know it. They love us. We know that. Everyone loves each other. All right, we've got to do this every week now. We did it once. You said do it every week. I'm going to do it every week. I'm tired of the AP poll. People who claim they rank teams have no clue how to rank them properly. I do power ratings on Tuesday, and half the world intentionally misses the context there. So Thursdays is where we go rankings, rankings, rankings. Read the sign. These are rankings. These are rankings. So your win-loss record matters to me on Thursday nights. What you deserve matters to me. Results on the field matter to me. You better believe Florida State's going to be ahead of Alabama on this show on Thursday night. You better believe Notre Dame's going to be nowhere near the top 10 on Thursday night. I don't care what FanDuel says. This is what the future commissioner of this sport and his polls say, immunity. Let's start at number 25. Nebraska is ranked. Of course they're ranked. I'm going to see them this week. They're going to beat Michigan. At least that's the rumor. And in that case, they would be a lot higher than 25. So you got Southern Cal at 24. Give me Mississippi State at 23. Alabama has reemerged after a pretty dominant win against Wisconsin at number 22. Still trust but verify. I don't know if I'm even trusting Alabama yet. I need to verify and then trust. So we're going to go verify and trust method on Alabama. Luckily, they go to Georgia next week. Did you see, just a little time out here, for anyone questioning why the JP poll, which is, more odds maker based, neutral field favorability, we had Bama 4 the other night, and people were looking at that saying, oh no, I understand what the JP poll's about, but even I think it's insane to have Bama number 4. And I said, why is that? There aren't many teams that would be favored against them even now. And people thought I was lying. Hey, guess what? I wasn't. And FanDuel already has the Georgia-Alabama game up, because they're both off this weekend. So they already got the game up. Now, Georgia just went and got a big win at Tennessee on the road. Bama got drug on a neutral side, on the road at Florida State week 1. So what would you suppose that line is? It's at Georgia. It's in Athens. What would you suppose that line is? Georgia minus 3.5, which is basically home field for Georgia. So the implication there is even matchup on a neutral field. I don't care if you bet your house on Georgia. I may bet Georgia. What I'm telling you is, from the JP poll perspective, Bama's really high. Bama's where they need to be. From a rankings perspective, Bama has no business up there. So we're putting them number 22 because that's where they deserve to be. That's the difference in power ratings and rankings, kids. I did not drop USF out like the AP did. The AP hated USF to begin with, so they were looking for any reason. I'm pretty sure some people turned in their ballots at halftime of the USF-Miami game, and they dusted their hands off in the process. Well, not me. Not me. I still got USF there because you know who they've still beaten? Boise and Florida, which is a better resume than most of you out there. Let's go top 20, Bradley. I got Auburn at 20. Tennessee, I dropped 6 spots, but I've still got them top 20 as well. They're number 19. Texas Tech's good, and they got a big challenge in Salt Lake City Saturday. Go get you an Egg McMuffin. Head to the stadium because it kicks off at 10 a.m. Got Texas Tech at 18. Missouri's at 17. Texas, I've got at 16. The AP has Texas at 8. And I ask you, if I were to take this logo, this little Bulls logo here, and give it Texas's resume, I think you and I both know that little bull logo would be nowhere to be found. But it's not. It's got horns, but it's the Longhorn logo. And so it's all the way up there at number 8. You are drugs if you think Texas has a top 8 resume in college football right now. Not even Texas fans think that. Texas fans were the first ones to come out and say, yeah, we don't really belong top 10 right now. Get us out of there. Put us behind the curtain. Let us work on ourselves, please. So I got Texas number 16. Top 15 time. Ole Miss, don't think that's controversial. Utah, Iowa State, don't think it's controversial. There was a rumor I took some shots, unjust shots, at Illinois the other day. I didn't. I used them as an example of a team that the AP had in the top 10, whereas they had Georgia Tech and Vandy not in the top 15. I thought maybe Georgia Tech and Vandy's resumes were better than Illinois. I still think that. It's not a knock on Illinois. I got them at 12. I think the AP has them a couple of spots higher. Illinois deserves everything they're getting right now. It's just I think a couple of other teams deserve something too that they're not getting. More on that in a second. Oklahoma at 11. Yep. Top 10. All right, this is where I really differ. Huge detachment from the AP poll. I've got Vandy 10 and Georgia Tech 9. The AP has Vandy at 20 and Georgia Tech at 18. And I think the key difference there is I've actually watched both of them play, and I'm not sure most of the voters in the AP have. Either that or they're just actively hating Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech. No, like I said the other night, it's a party, and there are some invitations sent out in the preseason, and Vandy's and Georgia Tech never arrived because they never got an invite, and they've had the audacity to show up anyway, and the AP has no idea what to do with them. It would be rude to just send them home, like they knocked on the door, hey, hello, we just beat Clemson. Your preseason national championship pick, by the way. We just beat Clemson. Where should we sit? Oh, go over to the chair number 18 over there is open. Go over there. Stay quiet, please. And no, we don't have any food for you. You can eat here, Georgia Tech. Our table is open. Pate State welcomes Vandy and Georgia Tech at 10 and 9. Number 8 team, Texas A&M, is a top 10 team. Best team in the state of Texas? I think so, right now. Penn State is number 7. Florida State is number 6. Now, I noticed something. The commissioner's poll is having an effect. We're not wasting our time here. The commissioner's poll is having an effect. Because when Florida State beat Bama in week 1, the commissioner's poll immediately vaulted Florida State. The AP was cautious, but then they got drugged for it. Florida State has played East Texas A&M and had a bye week. Since then, the AP has quietly bumped them up 7 more spots from the spot they had them the week after they beat Bama. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Top 5, what do we have? Oregon at number 5. And that's just a byproduct of them having not played anyone yet. That is rapidly going to change, but your resume is what your resume is. Georgia's at number 4, big win over Tennessee. I've got LSU at number 3. LSU's offense has been nothing to write home about lately, but that's only a third of what they do. American hero Blake Baker also has to be factored in here. That defense has been phenomenal. So I got him at number 3. Hopefully Nussmeier can be 100% at some point this year. Fingers crossed there, because that could be the number 1 team in the country if so. I got Ohio State at number 2. I want earplugs down in Coral Gables. I want this censored. I don't even want this to be broadcast south of Orlando. But Miami is the number 1 team in the country right now. I don't even know how you argue with this. The only argument would be Ohio State, and a lot of that would be we beat Texas, and also we deserve benefit of the doubt until we lose. I don't really do the second part. The first part I get, but Miami's resume is more impressive right now. And I don't think it's fool's gold. Like, they look really good. Do not embarrass me this weekend. You got Florida coming in. Okay, they're already, they're just leaning over the cliff. You just got to kick them in the forehead, and then down they go, and there's street pizza at the bottom on the rocks, way on down there. That's what you got to do. You just got to kick them in the forehead. That's all you got to do. Yeah, Miami #1. Whom's to defunk it, right? Carson Beck, so washed that he's #1 in the country. It's a good thing I don't believe everything I see on the internet in the preseason. Academy Sports and Outdoors, available on the internet. Academy.com is there. But if you don't want to live on the internet, and in case you haven't noticed lately, it's a very toxic place to live. Live in the real world, because we got Academy Sports and Outdoors locations all over the place. And if you don't have one in your backyard, I'm working on getting one in your backyard. And you go to Academy and you can get camping gear, or you can get gear for fall football leagues, flag football, or real life 11-on-11 tackle. You got it there. You need to get some Big League Chew in the checkout line. That's not a question. That's just it's a piece of advice that I would give you. Grape, if you're like me. But Academy Sports and Outdoors has been a longtime partner of ours. They help make the show free. They help keep the lights on around here. They help all that. And they can help you in your quest for filling your cart with things that you need anyway. Just visit a place that has helped us and been a partner with us for a long time. Because if you're going to buy it anyway, why not buy it from friends? That's my policy. One thing before I get Cubelic in here that I just need to touch on, immunity. Bradley, did we have a Twitter question about this nonsense today? Yeah, Kenneth hit us up from Morgantown, West Virginia. Huge win, by the way, in the backyard brawl last week. We had West Virginia plus the points. They won outright. Rich Rodriguez has got like 137 new players on that team, so good for them. Anyway, this is where it goes downhill. Kenneth hit me up and said, they're taking more and more college football games overseas. Is that as dumb as I think it is? I don't care how dumb you think it is, Kenneth. It's dumber. No matter how dumb you think this is, it is dumber. So, if you missed what happened today, friend of the program, Scott Hamilton, with the Post and Courier, reported that they were embarking on a multi-year deal for something called the Union Jack Classic, which will take place in Wembley Stadium. It's a series of games starting next year. It's going to be in week 3, not a kickoff game. Week 3, Wembley Stadium is in London for the unwashed masses out there, me included. Kansas and Arizona State are going to play in this thing in week 3. Now, I already know how dumb that sounds to you, but trust me, it's a whole lot dumber. International college football games are among the dumbest things that decision makers in this sport who are very prone to dumbness do. International college football is dead on arrival as a concept to me. I get you want the money. I'm not stupid. I get that you're wanting the paycheck. But I would also suggest to you that there is a line in the sand past which you sacrifice the very integrity of the product you're looking to cash in on. Case in point, we've had meetings just this afternoon for this very show where we left large sums of money on the table. We leave a ton of money on the table every year for this show because there are companies, there are brands that would love to be in business with us. There are initiatives that are offered to us that we could take and we could cash in. We don't. And do you know why we don't? Because we're not hurting for money anyway, and we would sacrifice the integrity of the show in the process of the payday, which makes it not worth it. This is not a complicated concept. However, you can picture this as well as I can. You can picture someone or many someones. I picture this boardroom table, mahogany, probably. It's some kind of wood that is not native to the United States of America. I picture this boardroom table, and I picture all of these suits gathered around it. And someone asks, what makes college football great? And, they're like clapping seals. Pageantry. Tradition. I have a third one. You know what makes college football great? College. That's what makes college football great. Campuses. That's what makes college football great. The European mind cannot comprehend many things that America has to offer, but one of the hardest things to comprehend has to be when we send a college football game over to Wembley Stadium, because they get NFL games sent over there. So they've seen the best athletes playing this sport in the world. They have no clue about the tradition and pageantry you speak of about college football. All they're seeing is a second-rate football product on the field. I watch as people make the bad faith counter-argument. Well, Josh, European soccer teams come here all the time. Pro soccer teams come here all the time. What teams? Did you say pro teams? Oh, yeah. You mean kind of like the pro football teams that we send over there to play. I don't have a clue about European soccer. What is the second-rate version of it? Because if they came here and played in Geodis Park, just down the road here in Nashville, I'd look at it and I'd say, I barely understand the main event, soccer, that they send over here. But I do get that it's a big deal. Why would I pay any money or pay any attention to the second-rate product? Now, you're listening to me say that, and you think, oh, that's very disrespectful to college football. No, it's not second-rate to me. It's the best sport in the world. But I grew up in Harris County, Georgia. So Auburn was right there. Georgia was right there. Alabama was right there. I was immersed in it. I get it. So when you ask me about Georgia football, about 9 things come to mind before the play on the field, because that's what makes college football great, the college. And the people who make decisions like these have not the slightest clue what that even means, because they didn't grow up in it. They're not immersed in it. You cannot take college football to Europe, because once you take the product off campus, you have removed the college portion of the football. And at that part, when you've stripped away all that, you're just taking a second-rate football product over there. The European mind has no clue about Dabo Swinney running down the hill. They got no clue about the big house or the shoe. They just know we get to see NFL games occasionally. Someone called Michigan is coming over here. Someone called Arizona State's coming over here. Those guys look smaller than the pro guys. They look a little bit slower. They drop more footballs. Why are we watching this? That's the European mind. Now, as your future college football commissioner, I don't mind trying to grow the game. But the way I want to grow the game is go get folks from Europe, bring them over here. It's a nice vacation. Take them out to Sun Devil Stadium, or take them to Athens, or take them to Columbus or Ann Arbor and show them that. You imagine taking someone from London to Eugene, Oregon, and showing them that place? That's college football. That's college football, not what they're sending them over there. What they're sending them over there is just football. It's not college football. That's all I have to say on the matter. Jesse, what's the status of Cubelic, by the way? Oh, we are. Wow, that's a surprise. Well, in the meantime, FanDuel, the exclusive odds provider of the show, and I'm about to give you a best bet in just a second. But FanDuel, I have breaking news for you. We have multiple big games this weekend. One of them is Auburn at Oklahoma. Okay, you go to FanDuel, and you will see a 50% profit boost token on that game, which just means you bet on the game, and if you win, you get 50% enhanced winnings on that. It's a very simple concept. You got to win. Make sure you win, but you bet Auburn, you bet Oklahoma. They're not telling you which side you got to bet. It's the freedom. It's a wonderful thing. You're also free not to do it. So complete 3-way freedom there. But if you do it, there's a profit boost token there. And I do want to say, in the interest of this weekend, I've got an added best bet aboard the Ramen Noodle Express, presented to you by FanDuel. So far, we got a loaded card already. So far this weekend, we're on Troy plus 6.5, Northern Illinois plus 22.5, Oklahoma minus 5.5, Michigan State plus 18.5, Nebraska plus 2.5, Syracuse plus 17.5, and Memphis plus 7.5. I would like a drum roll. Oh, I'm being told in my ear we have no drum roll. I would just like to fill in that 8th train car there on the Ramen Noodle Express with Illinois plus 6.5. Coach Brett is catching too many points on the road. No one really knows who Indiana is. They could win by 40, or they could lose outright. And I'm going to take my chances that that's going to be a very tight game in the fourth quarter. And I also want to remind you, you don't need to memorize all that, because our friends over at FanDuel have given us basically the surest sign that you've made it in life, and that is our very own tab. Look at that. You go to FanDuel right now, you got Will Compton, Taylor Lewan up there for the Bussin' Bowl, but who has their own tab, people? We got our own tab. So the Ramen Noodle Express, the best bets if you want to play along, and I do suggest tailing top to bottom. Don't just cherry pick. You can go to FanDuel. We got our own tab there. We got people have buildings named after them. They got roads named after them. But honestly, that's a dime a dozen, and that's played out. I don't even want a road at this point. Give me the tab on FanDuel. We got our tab. Happy. I'm going to tell you something, Jesse. I'm going to do SeatGeek during Cubelic. That's all there is to it. Bring him in here. Pop him in. Where is he? There he is. Cole Cubelic of the Birmingham area is joining us on the show. And you joined us on the show at SEC Media Days in July. And I remember with the Hall of Fame in the background, you and I were sitting there, handheld mics, and we said, might this SEC picture be way more compacted than it normally is? How are we supposed to try and figure out what Tier 2 is going to be? Well, if you go with my four-shelf grocery store theory of college football teams so far, but we're using SEC teams, I don't know if I've got anyone on the top shelf yet. I don't know if I've got anyone on the bottom shelf yet. I just got a whole bunch of shelf 2 and shelf 3 in the SEC, and I want to take great pride along with you, 50-50, maybe 55-45 either way, that we sort of called this, did we not?
A little bit. Before we get into that, St. Anselm at Assumption tomorrow night, 2 1-1 teams going at it. You're just leaving them off the list?
Hold on.
We're not even gonna approach that. It's fine.
Model slight lean Assumption. Very slight lean.
And part of this, too, is a couple of those teams that we thought were Tier 2, and maybe we weren't confident that they were at the top of Tier 2 or starting to get there. Some that are in Tier 1 are maybe at the bottom of Tier 2. Texas down, Tennessee up. This is going to sound really weird, but I actually left more confident in Tennessee than I did Georgia. I should probably say I gained more confidence in Tennessee than I did Georgia last week. I didn't have a ton of concerns about Georgia. I didn't think they were incapable of throwing the football down the field. Now, I still have some concerns about their tackles and their pass protection and the consistency on offense. And if a team's going to blitz at safety from 15 yards on the first play of the game so you can hit that one-on-one. But I actually gained a ton of confidence in Tennessee, Josh, because that was the first time since maybe the Fulmer era that I looked at Tennessee on film and said, they are almost toe-to-toe with the Georgia Bulldogs from a physicality standpoint. I mean, I'm jealous that you were at that game, by the way. That was one of the few games I watched on film and said, man, I can't believe I didn't get to watch this live, much less in person, because they were trading paint. Face masks were dented. Tennessee's offense is knocking guys on their rear end. Georgia's offense is knocking guys on their rear end. Both defenses are knocking guys down. The physicality was about even, and that has been far from the truth the last 4 or 5 years when these two teams have played. I mean, 3 years ago in Athens it was. I mean, hell, Tennessee played 4 in the box the whole game, or Georgia played 4 in the box, and Tennessee still couldn't run the ball. So I didn't bring Georgia down at all. But I gained immense respect for Tennessee. And if we did have a Tier 1 here in this conversation, they might be in it for me, even with a loss. I think Alabama is making their way back up there. I would be okay with them being in Tier 1. I understand what happened in the Florida State game, but I like what I've seen since, and I like the potential that lies there. Want to see some guys get healthy, specifically on the defensive line. I think they need Tim Keenum back, and they need to stay healthy. They've lost a couple. Latham missed a game, but it just doesn't have that clear picture of these are the 3 or 4 at the top. We can forget them and then start talking about everybody else, because I don't know if I have LSU in Tier 1 right now. They don't have the capabilities of running the football. And I understand that BK got upset about that after the game, but what are they? The one team in the league has fewer rushing touchdowns and fewer rushing yards per game. I think they're last in the league in explosive plays. So that's got to change. Garrett Nussmeier has made 4 or 5 of the best throws that you'll see this year. But the reason that they have been the best throws, Josh, is because he's eluding pressure or having to get it out way early because there's a free runner at him. And he's having to sidearm it, step into the side because the guy's coming in his face, and it just happens to be right there where the receiver's going to end up outside of his break. So defense at LSU, I love it. Offense got some work to do, no doubt.
What is the thing you've seen around the league so far this year that's disappointed you the most? I'm not talking about stuff that you look back and you say, I just flat out misread this. I overhyped this person or this team or this unit. That's on me. I'm talking about, I'm looking at Florida, obviously, for me. I had very high expectations for them, but I really don't think it was unwarranted. I don't know how in the world you watch how they finished last year, how you look at what they should have on the offensive line, tailback position, quarterback. I do think in retrospect, I really underestimated what him missing spring ball, DJ Lagway missing spring ball probably meant for them. But, I mean, Carson Beck missed spring ball at a new program, and it's just boom, boom, boom. He's a 19th-year starter, so that's a little bit different than Lagway. But I do not think my expectations were out of whack for Florida, but I've heard you talk about Florida as well. You know, everyone's, you torch the barn, kill the rats, let's go find a new head coach. And you've laid it out a lot more all 22 style analytically. And you're talking about how it's not a disaster, but it's things here or there. And it's very undisciplined, penalties and stuff like that. It's nothing that can't get corrected. Problem is, you're having to correct it. You're having to try to correct it driving like really, really steep uphill right now because there is no break. There's no stretch of 3 opponents you're favored by 3 touchdowns against. So Florida's my huge disappointment. If you got another one, okay. But either way, I want you to talk about Florida.
Well, here's the thing with Florida. It's almost worse than how you described it because, no, it's not a disaster, but it's disappointing. And I think when disappointment hits, it's because you felt there was a really good chance that you weren't going to be disappointed and those expectations were going to be met. And the reality of those expectations being met has been there. You can see that light at the end of the tunnel. That light feels a lot further away, and it's bleak. It's dim. It's not near as bright as it once was. There's an aspect of chemistry with that group that's not there, being on the same page. Because if you just watch the plays, it's easy to get excited about or feel pretty good about. But it's the sequencing, it's the mistakes, it's shooting yourself in the foot, those things that are holding them back. And I think you're right about Lagway. I think spring practice is probably something that's becoming a little bit more important across the board we're not talking about. Caden Proctor would be another example of that. You know, everybody just at Alabama automatically said #1 overall pick, best left tackle in America. Well, he didn't go through spring ball for the second straight year. He's having his struggles. Not saying he can't climb his way out of it. Might end up being a great player this year. Might end up being one of the best left tackles this year. But I think the spring ball, Josh, is when you get better individually. Now, the team can still get better. The team can grow. Position groups can grow. But that's the time that you focus on yourself the most. And if you miss that, that's where some of those things are taken away. And then you compound that with quarterback-receiver chemistry, offensive line continuity, defensive backs having that nonverbal communication, just the understanding, the wherewithal, the know-how of, I don't have to lean this way in this coverage because I know he's got it. Or he knows that I'll be there in this place, so he doesn't have to look over at me and get a check. He knows we're going to cover 2 here and everything's going to be okay. All those things happen in spring ball. And when you miss it, I think it's gone backwards just a little bit. So I would be with you on Florida. I would throw Texas into the mix. It's easy. It's low-hanging fruit to sit here and just say, Arch Manning's not good. Arch Manning's not playing well. He's not playing anywhere up to his capabilities, I don't believe. But when you look at the guys around him, that becomes utterly disappointing as well. The offensive line giving up free runners. And if we're going big picture here, it's probably protection. And I know I'm the offensive line nerd in the room, but goodness gracious, the free runners at quarterbacks. Oklahoma, Auburn, Florida, LSU. I mean, every team. Missouri's got free runners at Berbula 3, 4, 5 times a game. I don't understand how you can just let guys run at your quarterback. Eventually, he's going to get killed. It's going to happen. And so that's one of the things, too, that I look at with Texas. Like, you can't let guys run free off the edge. You can't get confused of, should I slide inside, outside? Who do I take here? You've got to protect your quarterback. There have been some drops. There have been running backs that I don't think are finding the right holes. And the most disappointing part, and maybe this shouldn't be an expectation, but I thought UTEP had the best tackling performance by a defense in an individual game that I have seen this season against Texas last week. One-on-one, out in space, corner on running back, linebacker on tight end, linebacker on receiver, screen, corner fights through a stock block, makes a tackle. I'm sitting there going, who is this defensive coordinator and what are they feeding these kids? Because it was one-on-one tackle after guy in the hole, blocked perfectly. Bam, here comes backside linebacker, makes a play for 2-yard gain. It was unbelievable. But where I'm going with that, Josh, is last year, that was a 15-yard gain. That was a 19-yard gain, an 8-yard gain, and it was 2nd and 4, or it was 2nd and 2, or it was just a first down, and we're rolling, we're moving. I think the players around Arch Manning all have to raise to their capabilities before I can sit there and say that he's the worst quarterback in the league or the most disappointing guy in the league. I'm not seeing the offensive line play well. I don't think they're getting near the work at the line of scrimmage from the tight end position they did last year. And the playmakers are just not making the plays once they get the football in their hands.
Let me ask you this. You were talking about disappointing play around quarterback position. You were talking about maybe a lack of cohesion, chemistry, et cetera, at Florida. I feel that when I watch Clemson. Offensively, specifically, I feel that. I'm not in that locker room. Like I don't do the body language thing. I just sometimes you watch a group. It's not hard to watch a group and tell. Like I know Vanderbilt locker room, number 1 to 85 or however many scholarship guys they have, they'll just go to war for their quarterback. They'll go to war for Diego Pavia. I got no doubt about that. I don't feel like that when I watch Clemson. I don't know what it is, but I look at that, and I'm not saying that's what's holding them back. I am saying there's an intangible factor there. There's a way that I'm used to watching Clemson play. I don't even just mean the talent level. I mean, I'm used to watching those guys, and it's like watching the movie 300. You're not really going to separate one from the pack. They just all feel like they're one unit marching in the same direction. And I watched them against Georgia Tech, but I've watched it all year, and I feel like the pieces I thought were there, these are the pieces that I thought were there. I didn't pick them to win the title, but like I expected them to be the best team in their conference. And even when good things are happening, I don't know, man. It's just, it doesn't feel like this. It feels a little looser. And again, you got to be a fly on the wall in the locker room to really know what that dynamic is. I just think some groups are tighter than others. I don't feel like that one really is.
Pressure, I think, is big in today's college football because kids get it from all over the place. And it's not just, your uncle that was trying to steer you to a school anymore. It's now your agent and people around him, your agents see. You have marketing agents that are hitting these kids. Guys in the portal thinking about the NFL is still a real thing. That's been there for a long time. But now you have guys that are maybe thinking about getting out, going and doing something else, playing somewhere else. There's just a lot that goes into it. Some guys handle that well. Some guys don't. For me, I'm glad you brought up Vanderbilt, because I think they're a perfect example of the flip side of this. And I'm not going to put any accusations on Clemson because I haven't had them this year, so I haven't been around that staff or around those players to have those conversations. I agree with you when I watch them from a distance. You can feel that. But when I watch Miami, when I watch Oregon, when I watch Vanderbilt, and I did have a chance to get up close to them this past week, so I got a different look, a different view of maybe what they are and who they are. There's a couple of things that come to mind and make you think that's why what they are. Confidence is number 1. Trust is number 2. And number 3 is the easiest part in this game that we all forget. And it's probably with today's college football, Josh, the easiest to get away from. And it's having fun. Do you see a bunch of Clemson dudes that look like they're having fun when they're out there playing football? Because at the end of the day, it's a game. And if it's not fun, what's the point? I understand there's a lot of money at stake. I understand there's championships at stake. I understand there's 80-some thousand people coming to watch you, but it's still not going to work if it's not fun. Because then the pressure multiplies and what the people are saying magnifies, and what you think you have to do yourself to win games also magnifies, and that's not the case. Still do your job and then work together as a unit, work together as a side of the football, and then work together as a team. That's how it should all flow. Well, you can put a dam in front of all that really quickly when you're not having fun, and then you don't trust the guy next to you, or you're worried about doing your own thing, and you don't have confidence. The number 1 word that I heard coming out of the Vanderbilt coaches, players, and people around that program through meetings, warm-ups, during the game, after the game, was confidence. We're confident we can do this. We're confident we can run that coverage. We're confident we can get away with those pressures. We're confident that we can run these plays against that defense over and over and over. And sometimes when you hear that, you can tell it's fabricated. And actually, we had a couple of players tell us that we feel like last year it was maybe a little bit of false confidence, that we were believing some things that weren't real. But the part of that makes me know it's real is, Josh, they have an edge, man. That team has an edge. They have points to prove. They have people that they have messages to send to, and they're out to send them. You could hear it on the sideline when I was standing over there covering the game. You can hear it in warm-ups, and I don't think it's just the quarterback anymore. They went and got a couple offensive linemen like I've never seen Vanderbilt have before. We did it Monday night on Read and React. My producer asked me, he said, I want 4 things about Vanderbilt that are different this year. Can you give me those, and can we show them in clips? I said, absolutely. Number 1, we're going to show counter because they're running counter this year. They didn't run it last year. Number 2, we're going to show that offensive line because they fire off the football, and they're bigger and more physical than I have ever seen a Vanderbilt offensive line be. Maybe there's one out there that I didn't pay attention to, don't know about, but I think that's what they have. And then they went and got some speed on the perimeter. Now, they stole one from their own defense, but they went and recruited a couple of other guys. They can stretch the field vertically and horizontally now to make you play them a different way, which sets up everything that they want to do. And it helps them achieve their offseason goal, number one goal, which was yards before contact for guys like they have in the backfield, quarterback, running back, etc. And Roman says, oh, I got one. Roman Harper, who if y'all hadn't watched Read React Monday night, 6 p.m. Central, you should check it out, SEC Network. I said, go for it, man. I was like, I'll do 3, you do 1. And he goes and gets a picture of the left tackle, and he goes, look at this. He's got his jersey tucked up. He's got belly tats. He's got ponytail, tats on his arm. He goes, I ain't never seen a Vanderbilt lineman have this. This different. That's different right there. I've never seen that at Vanderbilt. Perception's reality. They have an edge, man. Like they're a little bit different in mentality and how they attack things and the things that they do. And I think it's a perfect ending point to that discussion of all the things you have to succeed. And if you don't have those things, or if you're trying to fabricate those things falsely, it's just not going to work.
You know, you could just as easily be describing Georgia Tech right now.
100%. Look at their quarterback, man. Like, I don't think Haynes King could start in the UFL. And I'm dead serious when I say that. But I know this, every player on that team would take a bullet for him tomorrow.
Yep.
I have zero doubt in my mind about that. If they said, hey, man, Haynes can't play unless you cut your pinky off, they'd be lining up to cut their pinkies off before the game. That's just, I mean, he brings something different. It's, you know, we talked to, and what's weird about this whole conversation, Josh, is last year, what were we saying about DJ Lagway? He raised the level of play of all his teammates. When he was on the field, everybody else played different. Haynes King is that guy because you see your quarterback go take 15, 20 hits a game and you're like, I better get out there and I better do something. Like, this is the guy not supposed to be getting hit. He's trucking people and he's got a bruised shoulder and his knee probably doesn't work and his back's aching. Like, guys, we got to get it going here a little bit. So, yes, 100%. And I think that's trickle-down effect from their head coach as well, because I know his mentality, and the kids love him as well, and they love playing for him.
If there's one thing I'd love to see from South Carolina this week, it's that kind of response. It's collectively the way Georgia Tech's guys play for Haynes King, the extent to which we've seen that at Vanderbilt. I'd love for me to be able to turn on that South Carolina game. It's a dogfight in the fourth quarter on the road in Columbia, and it's because everyone's not looking to number 16 to be Superman. Some people are taking it upon themselves to maybe stick their face in the fan a little bit more as well. I know maybe there are certain position groups that are limited there, but there's no way the overall athletic profile of that South Carolina team, I don't care if you got Luke Doty on the field or Lenora Sellers on the field, has them having any business with you having to talk to Theo Vaughn in the fourth quarter to keep viewers tuned in your home building because Vandy's running it up on you. And now you go on the road in pure desperation mode. You're laying nearly double digits, or you're getting nearly double digits, and it's kind of an afterthought game. I think that's a huge game for them this weekend.
It's massive. And first off, I don't think there's going to be enough possessions to go around in this game for anybody to run it up. This game might take an hour and 21 minutes because I think they're both going to run the football. I think both of these teams tackle well. I mean, you watch Marvin Burks at Missouri. I mean, he plays like the Tasmanian devil at safety. Like he just literally wants to get people to the ground and punish you while he's doing it. I think the Missouri defense deserves a little bit more credit here, and that's where South Carolina's problems are going to be. Because if Lenora Sellers is not on the field, who is your best football player on that side of the ball? Now, I love Ashul Faison, and he is a guy that is not afraid of contact. He's not going to run out of bounds, but another player that hasn't necessarily been there through everything with that team. Nick Harbor, we know the inconsistencies. We understand that. So you've got to find somebody else to play super friends without the superhero in the game. And I don't know how many of those they have. And defensively, I think they have some of those guys, but the maturity level needs to rise on defense. And that's what last year they had. I mean, if you got to know Demetrius Knight last year, like you understood the calming effect he had on that defense. Nick Emanawari, the things that he did on the back end of that defense. They have some guys that have been in the system for a while, but it's the overall maturity of how to handle things, how to handle your business, not throw punches during games, things of that nature. So I didn't look at it last week and say, man, Luke Doty's bad. And I've seen 3 or 4 people say that this week. Go watch the drive before the end of the half. He's throwing a couple darts. He's driving them down. And I'm sitting there saying, what a luxury to have a 6-year guy, played receiver, played tight end, can play quarterback, that at least knows how to operate your offense. And by the way, Aaron Nolan wasn't the backup. So everybody clamoring for him to come in. I don't even think that was going to happen after Luke Doty. So they got to get that part figured out first. Then go to what you're capable of, because the traditional run game's not strong enough to just say, okay, let's let Faison go, or we'll split the carries for 35 attempts a game. You can't just open that up. And a lot of what is opened up is because of the capabilities that Lenoris brings. You have to respect the read plays. You have to respect the backsides, the fakes. Well, when Luke Doty's in there, you don't have to do that as much. Yeah, he can break you down and give you a little 4-yard run off a zone read or whatever, but he's not going for 80 or 40. And that's what defensive coordinators get scared of. They don't get scared of a guy chipping you away for 2 yards here and 6 yards there and 3 yards there. They get worried about the guy that can go 90 yards, and Sellers can do that. And I don't know if they have many other guys on that team that when they have the ball in their hand are that type of threat.
I know you watch a whole lot of teams. You cover a lot of them in the SEC, but I mean, you've gotten eyes on most of the teams in the country at the higher level, I would think. I would assume you've seen Miami by now. I don't know that I've watched a team just fly around more than Miami does defensively. There may still be holes on the back end. Like, they'll face a quarterback eventually that will test that secondary. I'm just talking about pure athletes flying around. They look like they're playing in such a different gear this year than they were last year. And some of those guys were there last year. I don't know what it is. Like, Miami just jumps off the screen to me when I watch them right now.
Confidence, trust, fun. I mean, watch them play last year and tell me if you thought they were super confident in what they were being asked to do, or if they trusted that the next guy was going to be where he was supposed to be. And that could have been schematic. I don't know. But I mean, it's this. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I know what it looks like and I know what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
And there are other Miami defenses that I've seen in my lifetime that it very much resembles. I mean, they got assassins on that side of the football, Josh. I don't know another way to sell it. They got trained killers. Guys that come downhill and want to hurt you. And I posted the clip today. When I see a linebacker knock a tackle on his rear end, then take on a pulling guard and work through him and make the play at the line of scrimmage, I'm like, these dudes doing it different. They are doing it different. And you took a good Notre Dame offensive line, a couple of injuries, and you essentially embarrassed them on the opening night of the season for you both. And then the thing that really I love about them, you put the offense on, and they got this workhorse tailback that is massive, but he can slither his way through these little bitty holes. And then you feel like the play is over when I'm watching it, and then 6 more yards or 4 more yards or 8 more yards. He kind of worms his way out, and it's like another 12 yards. They can lean on you that way. They have a change up back that can hurt you on the perimeter. And this is what a lot of college teams don't have. A quarterback who has absolutely no fear of challenging the middle of the field, down the field. I'm not talking about crossers. I'm not talking about mesh concepts 4 yards down the field. I'm talking 20, 30, 25, 18, 12 yards down the field consistently, and Carson Beck does not care. He will attack it, and he will take it, and he will change the way you have to play them defensively. They can protect him, and they can maul you. Oregon might be close. I love what I've seen from Oregon. I actually think they're upgraded at tackle from a year ago. The kid from Texas State's playing great football. I thought Isaiah World was going to be one of the best tackles in college football. His right tackle might be better than him this year. They've got great skill, and their defensive line attacks. And they got a quarterback that looks like he has a chance one day to be special. But Miami's doing it a little bit different than everybody else that I've seen right now.
Yeah, I'd say if you did nothing more than put some Georgia jerseys on that performance, that's the slam dunk #1 team in the country right now. The doubts people have about them, which are valid, by the way, based on history, is can you sustain the consistency of performance? Because you're going to get a whole bunch of double-digit spread favorite games after they get through this little stretch they're in right now, and it's just going to be so monotonous. And can you watch an organization that has not done it to this point under this staff maintain that level of consistency? Because if they can, I don't know that personnel-wise there is a better just overall team out there in the country, especially when you mention what Beck's doing. Yeah, it's funny that some people are surprised by that, like he's not done it before. It's funny to watch people be surprised at a multi-year starter when healthy that does multi-year starter things.
Well, and you've got an offensive coordinator in Shannon Dawson with an air raid background. And I think what you're seeing a little bit, now listen, it's nothing against Cam Ward. That kid was incredible last year. But I think what you're seeing is the offense when not having to ad lib, not having to move and create, or maybe not even having similar abilities to be able to do that, that when it's on time, on rhythm, on schedule, what it can do, how it can bludgeon you down the field. Now, Cam Ward kind of did his own thing, and it worked, and it was magical, and we had him in the bowl game, and Shannon sat there and told us there's times that I just leave him alone. Like, you just got to say, what in the what? And but, oh, okay. Yeah, you just keep doing that, and it's going to be fine. We'll figure it out from here. Now it's kind of, this is the design. This is how we attack it. Let the ball go here. Oh, he's got the arm strength to deliver it. Great, we'll do it. And the receivers are one of those big surprises. We didn't really know what they were going to be. They're playing great for that football team. And I would say counterpoint, and I don't know which direction this goes. You make a great point about Miami if they win this weekend, what lies ahead and how they react to it. There is also the aspect of where that program has been before. And when they get that confidence, you can call it swagger, you can call it whatever you want, there's an aspect of wanting to step on your throat and embarrass you that's always deep-rooted in that place. And if they get that, I wouldn't be worried about the next 3 or 4 games.
Buddy, they go to Tallahassee in a few weeks. I just want to have that on everyone's radar. They go to Florida State in a few weeks. Look, I'm not in the business of handing you immense amounts of compliments, but this reaction show that you do over on your YouTube channel, I know a lot of people out there in the space watch it. I delve into it a little bit as well. Tell the people where they can find it, because I know it takes a lot of time. I know you sit there on the treadmill and you watch every snap of every game, and that's not actually even a lie. You really do it. So let's get some traction out of this. Where can people find it?
Cube Show on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you get yours. We are out every Monday now, usually Monday afternoon, evening. And yeah, we go through every SEC game, every snap, every play, and we just tell you what we saw. It's that simple. It's that easy. On Instagram and Twitter as well, at Cube Show.
There you go, people. Rewind it if you didn't hear him the first time. All right, you're headed to LSU this weekend, yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Interested to see just kind of where this offense is, really and truly. Because like I said, I think they've got some holes. We're not going to really learn much about them performance-wise in this game, but maybe personnel-wise, maybe what the future may hold about what they can unlock and do down the road, and can they get back on that Tier 1 with a couple other SEC teams.
All right. I'll send you some pictures from Nebraska. I'll talk to you later, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, I'm going to a rivalry game this week, an in-state rivalry game.
Lest
you
I
go
forget.
wherever you want, and you can go have some bussin' bowl. I'm going to an in-state rivalry game where hatred is going to fuel the entire thing.
I stand by everything I said. Spreading that thing about 50.5, by the way. I'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.
If you want to go to either of those games as we wrap up here, I want to remind you, because we get like 5 DMs after every show. Hey, what was that code? Go to SeatGeek, choose whatever you want to choose. You can go watch Monster Jam for all I care. And I'm not knocking Monster Jam. I've watched it in person. I'm a pro Monster Truck guy. Maybe not on fall Saturdays, but most of you are here because you love college football. If you're buying tickets, which many people are doing late in the week, SeatGeek, buy your tickets. Pate 10 at checkout. PATE10 at checkout. I'm getting you 20% off your purchase of anything up to $200. I'm getting you $20 off of your purchase, anything above and beyond $200, and that's it. There's no catch to that. I'm just trying to help you out a little bit in this economy and in any economy. I know they lowered interest rates, but tickets are still pretty pricey, so I'm just trying to get you a little discount on them, which we've done. Pate 10, Pate10. Friday Night Lines tomorrow night from Lincoln. Make sure you're following at Josh Pate CFB. We're going to have a great weekend. Great weekend. First time ever at Nebraska. Look forward to sharing a lot of that with you. And we'll be back here Sunday to recap the entire weekend and any upsets and notable occurrences that may come along with it. Until then, for Director Bradley, for Producer Jesse, I'm Josh Pate. Take care. Enjoy one of the few fall Saturdays full of football that we get per year. College football, people. Take care. I'll see you Sunday. God bless.